here's what we're going to do. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to add that in here. And again, this is going to be a little bit of a visual podcast here. So hop over to our YouTube page, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, do whatever you got to do, ring the bell, all that good stuff. But so we're going to be doing our top summer blockbusters, kind of in a tiered ranking, but within the decades here. So as you can see, we have our 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s, for the first 3 years or so. But there's already some good selections here. So we'll definitely run through it. I think I'm going to say we go from the bottom and start from, go up to the top. Like Drake says, we all got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
And then we'll rank them within here. So I'm going to nominate number 1, Back to the Future. Back to the Future here. Marty McFly, Doc Brown, all that good stuff here. This started off not only Back to the Future Part 2, but Back to the Future Part 3. So a lot of good things here. Very fun movie. Not that much action packed, just a cool concept, and it was kind of really ahead of its time. I believe that was like 1985, I want to say. But yeah, just a lot of cool concepts. And again, just like the action stuff and the stuff that's going on with like the Nazis and everything, like I can kind of leave it there. But everything about Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox is awesome there, and Christopher Lloyd for that matter.
So this is your number 1?
Well, I'm just going to nominate. Where do you think we should have it here?
Okay. I feel like there's a pretty definitive number 1 here. And it's not that. I would think this could be in my opinion, no higher than 3.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think we'll put it in the top 3. Maybe I can sway another way. And we're kind of making up the rules as we go along. But I think after we solidify each decade, we get like 1 veto, 1 move up, 1 move down, that sort of thing.
And I'm keeping notes on my end too, Wes, so that way we on a separate doc. So that way we, in case we get it confused anywhere, we know where we tried to put it. All right, so I'm going to nominate again. We're staying in the 80s, and I this is interesting too because I know across the DSG we do a lot of tier stuff, but we've never done like tiers within tiers.
Yes, it's like an Inception episode right now.
Yes, which may or may not be coming up later on in this conversation.
Foreshadowing. Yeah, I'm planting a seed about Inception right now within the tiered rankings.
Look at you. Wow. Stupid fly
blowing minds here.
Unbelievable. All right, so I'm going to bring up what I think is the definitive number 1 of the 80s, Wes. And I know you're not as big of a Star Wars guy as I am, but I feel like Empire Strikes Back, I mean, looking at what Star Wars became, looking at how successful it was then, and it's considered like I'm quick to say like, the original Star Wars movie, as much as I love it, and I know it's a different time and everything, it's not like the greatest piece of cinema I've ever seen. But Empire, you can't really argue that.
Empire's, great story, simple story, executed very well, a lot of cool ideas, building off of the hype of episode. Why can't I think of the first one right now? New Hope. Thank you. Jeez. Building off of New Hope there. I can't be mad at this. You got everyone in the snowsuits and everything. That was such a cool toy phase, very marketable. This is firmly number 1 in my opinion.
Okay, good. All right. Glad we're on the same page on that one.
All right. So the other one here, this one can get a little bit tricky. I think the other one could go a couple different ways, but I'm going to go with George Lucas's, or Steven Spielberg's, I should say, Indiana Jones. Well, I guess it's both of them, and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think Lucas gets the top 2 spots here.
I think it's
classic, action adventure movie. You got Harrison Ford, kind of riding off the hype of Star Wars and everything that brought. Again, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg product. You put me into like an action adventure, world bounding type of mystery. I'm here for it. I like even Uncharted. I like the National Treasure movies. These all kind of are cut from the Indiana Jones cloth.
Yeah, and while I like Indiana Jones, I don't love him like some people do. Like my brother really liked Indiana Jones a lot as a kid. But I do think that you have to put this like when you're considering the 80s. I know objectivity is not the most important thing when you and I are talking about this stuff, but I do think like it's pretty clear this is like Indiana Jones was just huge for this time. So yeah, two does make the most sense for me.
Yeah, and again, the other one I was thinking of, we'll see what you bring up. There was another one that I had in mind that could that maybe could bump Back to the Future, but we'll get to. We'll see if we'll get to it.
I'm really curious what that is because like I said, I think Back to the Future at best is number 3, but it could move down. For me, see, I know how you feel about Top Gun, but I don't love it, and I kind of feel like it should be the bottom of this list.
It's tough. I would say it's with the other options that we have there. I would say bottom 2. There's one other that comes to mind.
Okay, let's put it second to last then for now, and let's see because I could be.
It's tough too because I get it because it's cheesy and you get so much of that Americana cheese, which I think is what it leans into, which is what Top Gun Maverick certainly recaptured in that reboot sequel that they had. Was it a year ago, 2 years ago now?
Last year.
Yeah, so Tom Cruise is great. Like we said, he's like probably the best, most bankable action star that we have. The Rock, for example, he was another.
Yeah, The Rock's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily dying to see. I'm not same with Tom Cruise. I'm not like I have to see it if these two guys are in it. But it's like people. I feel like the average person.
There's a good baseline for him.
Yeah, The Rock may be the one actually because he's really cashed in on it so much. So yeah, so we have 9 movies for the 1980s. So that will put Top Gun Maverick right now at number 8.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. And the other movie here that I was going to nominate that I was between for number 2 spot was E.T.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the Steven Spielberg project, so monumental, right? E.T. phone home with the. Was it the M&Ms or the Skittles that Drew Barrymore was having?
Oh,
I can't remember which one it is. Bad product placement right there. But however, you get the finger pointing. You get Reese's Pieces. Oh, that's
so
none
good.
of them. None of them.
I love Reese's Pieces, man. It's like Loki, like Bunch of Crunch is my favorite movie candy, but Reese's Pieces is my number 2.
Yeah, I like peanut butter M&Ms better than the Reese's Pieces. They're not bad, but it's a better ratio. They're a little bit of a bigger, more ball-like instead of like a flattened sphere.
So we're talking peanut butter M&Ms, not peanut M's, peanut butter.
No, peanut butter M&Ms.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. See, I like peanut butter, but like it's just like for me with Reese's Pieces, it's just the right amount of peanut butter. So
no, give me all the peanut butter. Love it there.
There we go.
Nevertheless, there's a lot of iconic moments, certainly an iconic movie here. But when I think of like summer blockbusters, I tend to think more action, which is what Back to the Future, Indiana Jones have. So I don't know. It could be 3. I want to say it's 4 just because I feel like I like Back to the Future more. That's probably my only reason why.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's totally fair. Like I like it more too. So I tend to agree. All right, so E.T.
But I think that could be really interchangeable. If someone said that's number, I think they can make the argument for number 1, but definitely 2, 3, 4 on E.T. You know what I mean? I wouldn't necessarily shortchange them, but I think I'm good at 4.
You're good at 4. Okay. All right. I'm okay. Oh, so what's your E.T. at 4? All right. I'm curious. I don't know about with Die Hard. I don't know if I want to go there. I need to know what your other one is for the last 2 spots. Is it Ghostbusters? I know it's right there right now. I don't know if that's just convenient.
No, it's Die Hard.
It is Die Hard. Okay.
Yeah. Hot take. I like Die Hard with a Vengeance the most out of the whole Die Hard series.
Is that 4?
It's 3rd. It's with Samuel L. Jackson. They're in New York.
Okay. I'm not going to fight you on this. I mean, obviously, we're talking about like the cream of the crop with these movies, so it's like it's the worst one of like amazing movies.
And my other reason is that people don't even want to claim it as a summer blockbuster movie; they want to claim it as a Christmas movie. So, like while in reality, it's a summer blockbuster movie with the Christmas setting and this propaganda push online that happens every year about Die Hard being a Christmas movie. I'm not sure in good faith that I don't want to reward either or. You know what I mean? The movie just kind of gets ruined for me.
Have we done a debate on whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas
No,
movie?
and I do not want to do that. Do not want to. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? Huh? Tune in next week.
We should do an episode of cliched debates.
Oh, maybe that's it, and take it like really serious. Maybe we'll do that when you're gone here. Who knows?
If we do, okay, if you do that while I'm gone, that would actually be a great gift because I would love to listen to you and whoever wants to argue with you about that, and not because also Lord knows that if I did it with you, like after last time when we weren't supposed to be debating, it's going to get ugly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, but the Die Hard. So are you good with that being at the end there?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I like it more than Top Gun personally, but I'm fine with it where it is. And I'm pretty fine with where Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Ghostbusters are in general, like being in this middle area. It's Batman where I would give that the edge over E.T. From a personal standpoint, but also like E.T.'s legendary. So I get it.
I hear you. Batman does have more of an impact on my life personally than E.T., although I owned E.T. and watched it many a time.
Yeah, so I mean,
you know, we own the podcast. We're making the rules here, huh? Let's put Batman up to number 4.
I'd put it at number 4. But like if you watch E.T. that much and it's that important to you, then I understand it being 4. That's my only thing.
No, because now that I'm talking it through, Ferris Bueller's Day Off means more to me than E.T.
Okay, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off means more to me than E.T.
Okay, so now we're just working through this here. Okay,
yeah.
But this is teamwork here, and I love Ghostbusters. I think again, very unique idea, very unique concept, executed pretty well.
Yeah.
Who's the guy who writes all the movies? Harold.
Ramis?
Harold Ramis. Yeah, so he's in it. You got Dan Aykroyd. You got Bill Murray. Right. So it's like a lot of high average actors there.
Yeah.
Coming through. So I love that. I almost feel like it's doing a disservice, but for those listening at home, our 1980s tiered summer blockbuster list is Empire Strikes Back, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Back to the Future at number 3, Batman 89 at 4, Ferris Bueller's Day Off at 5, E.T. at 6, Ghostbusters 7, Top Gun 8, and Die Hard 9.
I feel good about that list.
It's tough. I mean, that's a loaded lineup there. You're talking about the 2003 Red Sox right there with Bill Miller batting 8th or 9th. You know, like you got some quality movies on the back end there.
Dude, the problem is they got Tim Wakefield closing. So
that's true. Yeah, that's a problem. That could be a problem. Okay, so let's shift up to the 1990s. So this might be more near and dear to our heart. Nick, why don't you nominate the first movie?
In a way it is, but in a way, this is also going to be one of the tougher ones for us for a couple different reasons. So there are definitely some holes for me here in terms of like how long it's been since I've watched the thing or have I watched the thing. And we got to be honest with this stuff. So all right, I guess, you know what? Okay, I'm not going to give it lower than any of the other ones, but I have no problem if this moves to the bottom of the list. But I'm going to start there, Wes. I'm going to go with Forrest Gump. Obviously,
at the bottom,
not the very bottom. I need to do the math real quick, but because I haven't seen Armageddon, I haven't seen Face Off, and I haven't seen Point Break. So that's 3, and I don't know how many movies we have in this grouping. Is it 10? I think for this one.
Yes. Yep.
So put it at 6. If it moves down to 10, I'm fine with that. Look, I like Forrest Gump. But where we talk about movies being really long, like there is no rewatchability on this movie for me. I enjoyed it the first time around, but also it's like the hype was always just like, it's always one of those things where it's like, it's good, but like, all right, like just let it go.
It kind of insists upon itself after that point. Certain point, it's like The Sopranos, right at a certain point. I hear you. I think for me, Forrest Gump is one of those movies that I can easily get Shawshanked. If I see it on TV, it doesn't matter what part of the movie that it's on. I can always pick it up and watch for a couple of minutes there, and I think that's huge. I think the rewatchability is high, but to be able to sit through it all in one sitting, you know, like I think that is that's where the disconnect is for me.
Got it. Okay. All right. So that's where we're on. Okay. Got it. Okay, cool. So are you fine with 6 or do you feel like it's...
Well, I think we can leave it there from now and then just kind of see how everything else goes. I think that's a good starter there though. I'm going to go right for the top though. I'm going for the head. It's Jurassic Park number 1. There's 2 movies that I think of on this list for the 1990s summer blockbuster. Jurassic Park is one. Again, groundbreaking idea. Steven Spielberg. No one does it better for creature features and that sort of thing. Amazing stuff. Great cast. Where you have I can't remember anyone's name today, Nick. Who's the guy from the MCU and Thor?
MCU and Thor.
Why can't
I think
he's the apartments.com guy. He's the Fly.
It is Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. Thank you, Nick. He's amazing in this with his chaos theory. Dr. Ian Malcolm. I can remember the character's name, but I can't remember the actor's name. So much great stuff about it. And of course, you got Sweet Dino Action.
Mm-hmm. Of course. I have zero problem with this being number 1. I think I didn't know which one to put number 1, honestly, like how I felt about this grouping.
So in full disclosure, just like you said, you hadn't seen a couple of movies in this bracket here. I haven't seen T2, which is a huge blind spot for this category.
Yes, and that's one I haven't seen in a long ass time. In the interest of and just since we're talking about it and getting it out of the way, I do think that I definitely have this ahead of Forrest Gump, and I do have it ahead of Speed. And I know we're going to make some movement because you haven't seen that one. And then there's other movies too that you feel differently about. I want to put Judgment Day though at 4 right now. It's the best Terminator movie. It's like, it's
iconic. You remember the arcade game that you were able to play there?
Yes.
I dressed up like the Terminator for Halloween one year. One of my favorite costumes. It was half cyborg robot face. And then they gave you putty for your real face that you could put on, so it looked like it was blown off with a gunshot wound. It was very, very cool, very complex. I loved it. It was great splurge by my parents that year. So cultural impact aside, I'll be back. That's huge.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I feel comfortable putting it at 4, but I understand it may move around a little bit for us.
No, I think I'm okay with that. It might move up 1. I'd be happy with that. But we'll discuss it because my number 2 is exactly where it is right now. And that's Independence Day. The top 2 movies that I think of in the 1990s. It's Independence Day and Jurassic Park. I've talked about this a couple times on the podcast, but they had great marketing campaigns that totally psyoped me as a kid, where they did promotional news broadcasts that looked very real, talking about an alien invasion, showing like the alien ship moving over, the White House and the Empire State Building and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, this is real. This is happening. They did it like it was like a Saturday night, 8 p.m. I remember my dad was working. My brother was babysitting me. And I was like freaked out, couldn't go to sleep. So aside from that, again, very cool movie. The President of the United States is #MyPresident in this movie. One of the greatest speeches of all time, whether real or fake. Independence Day, number 2.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, we did was it Americana debate that we did? Was it Patriots Day versus Independence Day? Is that right?
Oh, I don't know.
The Patriot. Excuse me.
The Patriot. Yeah. I think we did do that. That was a good idea. I forgot about that one. That was a good callback.
Yeah, I was in Fall River at the time, so that might have been. I think that was 2 years ago that we did that one, not to timestamp things. All right. So the last one that I can really speak to well is probably Titanic. And obviously it's made a shit ton of money, excuse me. And it's still like debate, the debate about Rose and her being able to have Jack, lie on the board with her and whatever, in the freezing cold water is still a thing that's debated to this day. On all that, I'm comfortable putting this. I personally am comfortable putting this ahead of Forrest Gump at number 5. I don't know how you feel about it.
See, I think this is a bottom movie for me because again, when I think of yes, it made a lot of money. It was a whole huge cultural impact. My heart will go on. Standing at the bow of the ship, right, with your arms out there. There's so many kind of like real life memeable moments from this, right? But when I think of the summer blockbuster, it's not a dramatic love story. One of the first, although what I will say though about it, one of the first movies that I remember that was 2 VHSs.
That's right.
The double VHS.
Wow, I forgot about that. Okay.
Maybe the first set of boobs I saw in my life.
Wow. Oh,
Maybe.
well, alrighty then. So where do you think it should be?
I think it should be in the bottom. I think it should be at the very end. But
Okay.
where do you think here?
I think I'd say let's compromise and put it at 8.
Okay.
Yeah, let's put it 8. Okay, I can take 7.
We'll put it at 7 to see what happens here. Okay.
You're gonna have to take the wheel on these next ones, because Face Off is the only one that I've seen, but it's like I haven't seen it in a long ass time.
Face Off, huge action movie. I love it. I feel like it's more of a cult classic. Again, you got John Travolta, you got Nicolas Cage. One's a detective, the other is a criminal, career criminal, and they're kind of a terrorist, to be honest with you. They literally take his face off and they swap it. Very interesting concept. Great action scenes. Again, I think it's a little bit more of a cult classic. I'm okay with putting this behind the Titanic.
Okay. Then we got where do you want to go next? I mean, Armageddon's there too.
Armageddon. So I'm okay with moving, like I said before, Terminator 2 up to number 3, just because of the iconic status of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the leather jacket. I'll be back. All that stuff, right? And it's again, one of the most bankable action movie stars. So even though I haven't seen it, I feel comfortable taking that liberty there. But Armageddon, sneaky great movie. Now, it kind of ran up around the same time where they did all these disaster duel movies. Like you had Armageddon and Deep Impact, and then you had Dante's Peak and Inferno. You know, a couple of these movies that were like that there. So, but I think the natural disaster movies, Armageddon might be the best. Bruce Willis, awesome. You got Ben Affleck in there, good stuff. You know, kind of you got the nice romantic scene with Liv Tyler with the animal crackers on the belly. Also, I think this was Aerosmith's first #1 song.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think that was their only for #1 song. Yeah, it's kind of surprising, but I think that was a bit of trivia from those days there. So I'm going to say put that at number 4 right now.
Okay. So now we have 3 left. We have Speed, Point Break, and Twister. Personally, I haven't seen any of them. But if I was to guess where you're going to put what you're going to put at the bottom, I would think it's going to be Twister.
It has to be Twister. It does freak me out. We almost had a tornado, and we've had 2 tornado warnings the last couple of weeks in our counties and the nearby counties there. So actually, a tornado touchdown in Mattapoisett a couple weeks ago.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. So
wow,
that's going to go firmly down in the bottom. Although it's a great flick. I highly recommend it. Philip Seymour Hoffman's awesome in it. John Paxton's in it. It's good stuff. Helen Hunt, very good stuff there. So like that movie as well, but it's tough because I think we got 2 Keanu Reeves movies that are coming up here last: Speed and Point Break. Point Break is such a cult classic. It's been rebooted, right? To nominal success. Speed is also like those are really tough. But if I'm sitting down to watch a movie right now, it's Point Break over Speed.
Okay.
Because the Speed, once you know the premise, the rewatchability isn't that great. It's like, a bus can't go over 50 miles an hour or something like that, or get below 50 miles an hour. All right. Like I've been there, but Point Break's just a good time. Johnny Utah?
Yeah. Yes. So where are you putting these?
So, okay. This is tough. All right. I'm going to put Speed. No, we're going to go like this here. All right. So let me know what you think about this here. In the 1990s, #1, Jurassic Park. #2, Independence Day. #3, T2 Judgment Day. #4, Armageddon. 5, Forrest Gump. 6, Titanic. 7, Point Break. 8, Speed. 9, Face Off. 10, Twister.
Okay. I can get behind that. That's interesting how that turned out with a lot. So it looks like most of the ones that I picked out to not have seen, I did okay.
You're not missing much.
Okay, interesting. But I definitely I do need to amend this situation. But anyways, we're moving
some
on.
Good movies to see though.
Yes.
They're good. That's a good problem to have.
Yes, but we're moving on to the aughts because we got plenty to pick from there.
Yes. Okay. So, and this is where like the superhero phase really starts in here. So we got We got the first Iron Man. We have Spider-Man, Raimi's Spider-Man there. We have the Dark Knight, and we have the Avengers. And I'm curious where to go. And we have a couple comedies here too, which is outside of Ferris Bueller's Day Off first.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do the Dark Knight first. I'm gonna nominate the Dark Knight, and I'm gonna put it at 1.
I think that's fair. It's still debated as the best comic book movie of all time. I mean, as much as Endgame and Infinity War were amazing, and then you have obviously the Batman was great, and then Logan is awesome too. Like for this to hold up in such a way that it does against the others, and Iron Man is great and Spider-Man is great too, but it's like this really like of this generation, though that was the best of the bunch, and this is a decade where superhero movies were huge.
Yeah, and of course, kind of putting Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy aside, 2008 is really what kind of launched off this whole superhero genre with the success of Dark Knight, and I think Iron Man came out fairly close to one another.
Yeah, crazy that it's the same year.
All right, so we'll keep that at 1. I could be swayed if a good argument comes up otherwise, but I think that's a good spot to put it.
You're not going to get an argument from me. I mean, unless we work something through mentally, but I'm not going to debate that. What I am going to do though is follow it up with number 2, and it's as much as Iron Man is one of the most important movies in MCU history, and I love it, and it deserves to be high on this list. I am going to put Spider-Man ahead of it at number 2.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I think at that time, I think you could even make an argument for Spider-Man 2 being in this over the first Spider-Man.
Yep.
However, we can kind of use this as a proxy for both, like the Spider-Man franchise as a whole.
Yes.
kind of use that there. But
we've also debated which Spider-Man is better of the Raimi Spider-Man 2. Not talking about Spider-Man 3. Sadly, I know you wanted that.
That's true. That's a good point. I did kind of push hard for it. I do love Spider-Man 3 there. I love emo Peter Parker, but I do love the original Spider-Man. Great villain. Obviously, kind of coming back into the fold here with No Way Home. But really, I think Tobey Maguire does a great job of capturing what, albeit an older Peter Parker, just through his natural age. I think he captures that dorkiness and that kind of like boy next door type of feel that Peter Parker has.
Yeah, and then when it comes to this too, it's like you had Blade, then you had the X-Men, then you had Spider-Man in terms of like these big blockbuster movies, and Spider-Man was really where it took a huge step from those first two, as much as I love those first two. And then obviously by the end of the decade, you have Dark Knight, Iron Man, Avengers. It's crazy how much it grew, but without Spider-Man, like we don't like that's like there's like cornerstones or whatever for like the superhero genre movies, and Spider-Man is absolutely one of them.
Absolutely. My number 3 here, I'm going to go with a comedy. I'm going to go with Anchorman at number 3. Again, I think personal impact here. I think I went to go see this movie twice in theaters, cracked up both times while seeing it. Also at the point where this hits us, this 2000 era of movies, I think it's really helped kind of shaped who we are as individuals, right? Just like music would. But Anchorman, I mean, how many lines could you pull here that you just kind of recite with your buddies and everyone cracks up with, right?
Yeah.
Like I love Lamp, or take your set. 60% of the time it works every time. Whatever it is. This is one of the more quotable comedies of all time, and really, this might be Will Ferrell's peak.
I think I love Lamp more than the average person should. But yes, I agree. Like this, as much as Iron Man is going to be high on this list, I do think Anchorman deserves to, as like the number 1 comedy of this era, be in the top 3. It's Will Ferrell's. I think most people would say it's this and Step Brothers. As much as I love Talladega Nights, I can't deny that I think Talladega Nights deserves to be in the conversation with those two. But Anchorman, of course, is one of the best.
Yeah, when I think of like if I'm comparing great comedic actors, right, in their catalog, like Adam Sandler very clearly has Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison, right? I think that's kind of the consensus top 2 movies. But then like I also really love Mr. Deeds or Big Daddy. I feel like that's what Talladega Nights is. It's like not in that top tier, but it's like second tier for Will Ferrell movies.
I seems like I'm in the minority when it comes to when it comes to Talladega Nights. Although Christopher Nolan apparently loves it. I saw tweets about
That's
that of
true.
him.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely there.
Um,
Number 4, what do we got for? Or what's your next
It's
nomination?
well, we're gonna keep going in this order. It seems like the board's just kind of clear to us right now. I think at number 4, as again, we're talking about Iron Man, but Avengers is kind of getting like left behind in the conversation, but it deserves to be at number 4 because as much as Iron Man again is huge for the MCU and all of comic book movies, Avengers was just a next level step because we hadn't seen a crossover like this yet. We'd seen a team in the X-Men, but we hadn't seen, people who were in other movies then, merge into another movie together. It's set the stage for what the MCU became, and like it's just crossover after crossover after crossover. So it doesn't happen without the Avengers.
No, absolutely. I'm okay with this at 4 too. And when you talk about it, like when you actually had the post-credit teasers and it meant something and you got like excited for it, this is what they were teasing. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that you see the trailer for it. And they're like, oh, they're actually gonna do it. This is gonna be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember my excitement was pretty high for that as too. So yeah. I'm okay with that at the Avengers. I'm gonna do a cop-out move here. I'm gonna take Shrek and put it down at the bottom.
I think that's fair.
I'm not a big Shrek guy. Did very well. Actually, this was a Daily Dozen trivia question the other day. The Counting Crows only had 2. I don't know if they're number 1, but top Billboard hits in their career, and one was Hanging Around. The other one was Accidentally in Love with Shrek. So you would think like Long December, Mr. Jones and Me. They've had a couple of hits, but it's the Shrek soundtrack that gets them.
That's wow, that's something. But I
Casey Kasem right now, just giving out facts about soundtracks and bands right now.
yeah, what's going on with you today?
I got it. I got it going.
But I look, I like Shrek. I liked Shrek a lot when I was a kid. But when you look at this list of movies, it absolutely should be number 9 because as much as maybe I don't think that there's nothing here I'd rewatch. Maybe Saving Private Ryan, I'd rewatch Shrek before Saving Private Ryan because of the investment level. But
Yeah.
That's it. So for me, I'm gonna go back to where we were, number 5. This is where we're finally gonna put Iron Man. We've talked about it enough. It's Robert Downey Jr. takes over the role, sets the stage for the MCU.
Now I might push back on this here. This might be a small. I would go Superbad number 5. And Iron Man 6, and that's kind of at my toss-up rank right there. So it's like again, that's a movie. Iron Man I did not see in theaters, although again, I think I was a little bit late to the MCU. I think it was like the Winter Soldier, Captain America, that really got me. But I watched this movie when it came out. I liked it, and I didn't think much of it as a greater scheme of a sequel and all that other stuff. But I thought it was a really enjoyable movie. It does a good job, kind of like Nolan's Batman series, where it's like it's a superhero movie, but it kind of isn't. It's just like a normal story. But Superbad, I think culturally, the impact it had, the timing of it, where it hit both you and I think it was kind of right in that sweet spot. I don't know. I think that just has a bigger impact on me. But
well, okay. So I think Superbad is huge, and I was waiting for it. I thought this might be where it was. I thought you might actually push back when in the Avengers section for Superbad as well. But to me, why? Well, I guess maybe we can sit on it a little bit more, or I don't know. We haven't used any vetoes or anything like that. I don't think we set any rules for it either. But
yeah, we're just kind of making it up as we go here.
Yeah, but Iron Man, like where you say, it's Superbad's more impactful for you. Iron Man, you're doing like without Iron Man, this podcast doesn't exist. Like without Robert Downey Jr. and what he did, like this has been pretty impactful, like on our lives, and also like looking back on it, what they were able to do from a visual standpoint in this era is huge. Like with Iron Man, they did such a good job with this. And this is also where we talk about Spider-Man, like in Batman too, like with the Dark Knight, you have the benefit of everybody loves Batman, everybody loves Spider-Man, like everybody, and they all know who they are really well. You can say that about Iron Man now. You could not say that about Iron Man in 2008.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's Superbad. I hear what you're saying, but okay. My life would still, again, some of this stuff from Superbad, Anchorman, Wedding Crashers are huge parts of my personality. I don't even like to admit that, like how much you actually take from, those funny movies and just kind of incorporate those personality or those traits. Yeah, it's a huge part. I don't know. I have a tough time doing it, but okay, we'll put it in there.
Right, put it
it's a tough day. It's a tough day for the troops. too, because I'm not sure. Now we're getting down to this battle here for the second to last spots. What 6 and 7 spots, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
7 and 8,
7, 8.
7, 8 spots. We got Pirates versus Soldiers here. This is kind of, and this is, I'm not sure if we planned this, how this worked out, if this was meant to be, but I'm not sure if I'm ever rewatching Saving Private Ryan again. I think I've only seen it once.
No, it's.
We support the troops. We love the troops.
I think I've only watched it once. I mean, it's a great movie. I'll never forget seeing Gina. No, I definitely watched it more than once because years later, when Dustin Pedroia came into the league, like I was like, Giovanni Ribisi and him look so much alike. It's so weird in this movie, especially. They don't. As I've aged, I don't think that anymore as much. But yeah, I really. It's also one of the few movies Giovanni Ribisi isn't a weirdo. Like, he seems like he plays an odd role.
He does. He plays these weird, quirky characters. I like him. He's good.
Yeah, he is good. But yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean for me. I mean, this is like, Johnny Depp obviously at his height, and then what's Keira Knightley?
Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom. Yep.
Yeah, the aughts were huge for Orlando Bloom between Lord of the Rings and this.
Yeah, exactly. He cashed in well. He's dating someone now. I forget who he's dating.
Katy Perry.
Yeah, maybe they aren't. Maybe that's why I know that. Maybe they just divorced. I don't know. I feel like I just saw them in some new like TMZ news item or something.
I saw something too. They have maybe it was that they had a kid. I know that they do.
Maybe, yeah. I couldn't tell you, but I just knew I saw them doing. They were doing something. How's that for news?
There we go. So we're comfortable then. We're in agreement here. And also, by the way, I say "Hello, Puppet" and then parlay a lot. Parlay now, especially because of my line of work. But like, but yeah. Anyways, so
that works out. I think the only thing I would have wished I add to the list was Wedding Crashers. But I was trying to choose between which Will Ferrell movie to have, Anchorman or Wedding Crashers.
Gotcha.
It's not Will Ferrell per se, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. The group, the buddies.
Yeah.
But that would have been a tough one because I would have felt well, it's not on the list, so it doesn't matter. But put Superbad ahead of Iron Man. If it's like that much of your personality, like we already have 2 superhero movies up there, I can concede that.
We'll see. We'll see if we got any last minute changes here before when it's all said and done. So let's go ahead to the 2010s. And this is a little bit of a light category, albeit I just got a little bit tired of searching for cover arts here to add in here. So that's laziness on my part. So, but we got a couple of the Avengers movies in here. We have Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War, X-Men Days of Future Past, Jurassic World, Civil War, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, Inception, and Mad Max Fury Road. Which one do you want to start with here?
This is interesting. Okay. I think the 1-2 spot. I think 1, 2, 3 are like unquestionable. It's just a matter of where they fall with one another. And then I think the bottom 2 are also unquestionable. It's just a matter of where those 2 fall. May I pair the last 2 together and see how you feel?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I think the last 2 are Jurassic World and Mad Max Fury Road.
I'm okay with Mad Max Fury Road being at the end.
There we go.
Because I just wasn't that big on it. People said that was like their best movie they've ever seen.
I really liked it.
I missed it. It just didn't do anything for me.
Gotcha. I really liked the grittiness of it and the nastiness of it.
It looked great. It was really shot well.
It's Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, and I think they're great. But when I look at the rest of this list, it's the only other one that to me is like close and I like Jurassic World a lot, but I think that's the only other one that's in the same ballpark. Everything else kind of blows it out of the water.
Yeah, and we'll have Avengers Endgame and Infinity War as one tile here because I don't have that on. We'll group that as all one. I figure that's 1, 2, right? Is that
okay? Cool. That
sound right? We were gonna have them 1, 2 anyway.
Yeah. So then there you go. That's easy enough. The only other one that I thought was debatable, if I may bounce around on you, is Inception.
In the place of where?
I think that's when I thought top 3, I was thinking Endgame, Infinity War, and Inception.
Yeah, because I think Inception does reach a broader audience, and I think it was such a mind fuck of a movie that everyone was kind of talking about. It's like, oh, did you see it? It kind of had that water cooler effect.
Yes,
which
it still does. Like
Well,
when it comes
yeah.
up, it's still like so I didn't see it till years later. But I'm kind of glad I did, so I could appreciate it in full. But man, like it's so freaking good, and people still like, when they talk about Christopher Nolan movies, it's like Inception. Like that's the bar to beat all the time. As much as like, I like Tenet, and we may talk about that later, and obviously Oppenheimer, but like Inception's like from a not money standpoint, a quality standpoint, still seems to be the bar.
Yeah, I'm okay. Let's do that. Let's do Avengers Endgame, Infinity War 1, 2, Inception 3, Civil War 4. I
Okay.
might go Harry Potter 5 or Harry Potter 8 at number 5
Really?
over Days of Future Past, just because, again, much like Endgame, it's a culmination of a huge series finale in a lot of ways, right? So I think that has something to do, as much as Days of Future Past, I think is the bar for X-Men movies in so many ways, and awesome storytelling and a great way to reboot everything and kind of pay homage to the
Yes.
original Fox X-Men while introducing the new X-Men. I thought that was really cool. Harry Potter, I think it was just a culmination of everything that does it.
So you put this at 8 though?
Well, I think number 5.
Oh, okay.
Harry Potter 8 at number 5. Yeah.
That's where I got confused. Okay, because I was gonna say I would have considered putting it ahead of Captain America: Civil War. So I'm fine with it being at 5.
I love Civil War though. I love it because it's like everything that you said about Avengers, but it was just kind of refined a little bit more, because Avengers was good, but it was still kind of the moment and doesn't hold up as well, right? I think when you go back, you can kind of see the cheesiness. Look no further than Captain America's suit, right? And Age of Ultron was, a little bit disappointing, although some people that might be kind of growing, kind of coming back around on a la Spider-Man 3. I think Civil War featured those Avengers, going against one another. I think that was awesome. And the hangar scene. And then of course the Bucky, Iron Man and Captain America fight there. Top tier stuff. So that's tough, but 3, 4, I would be happy with that. I could do either or.
Okay. I was just, I totally misunderstood you at first. So that's my bad.
Harry Potter 8, The Deathly Hallows Part 2 or Part 1, is at number 5.
Yes. This. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
We're good there.
Right.
So then it leaves with X-Men: Days of Future Past and Jurassic World.
And it's tough because I like Jurassic World. It
too.
might be my second favorite Jurassic Park movie.
Mm-hmm.
It might be.
We did a debate on that in some Jurassic debate.
Yeah, we did. That's also good memory. Good clearing out the memory bank there. I like it. Yeah, Chris Pratt, awesome. I mean, he kind of fits that Wrangler Parks and Recreation type. Actually, that's kind of a funny thing to think of, is that Andy Dwyer just like got into great shape, left Parks and Rec in Pawnee, Indiana, and then became like a raptor wrangler.
Yeah,
pretty interesting.
That is one way to think about it. But see, for me, I think that's definitively. So this is a grouping of 8 when we put Endgame and Infinity War together. I put that definitively at 7 because X-Men: Days of Future Past, like you brought it up, like it's one of the best X-Men movies, period. And also it's a huge like retcon of everything, and it's just we've seen a lot of different bold stuff done in comic book movies. It's not always done well. That was done very, very well.
But the beginning with Bishop, and you have the Sentinel, and that whole scene and set piece they have was so cool. I forget who the girl was who was Kitty Pryde, who's like phasing through everything. It's very, very cool. And then he had, was it Warhawk? Who's the Native American X-Men?
There's Lone Star, and there's why am I forgetting?
He's in it too, so
Warpath.
It's a lot of cool Warpath. Thank you. Yes. A lot of cool things. They do a lot of really cool things here. So
if I'm not mistaken, it's Sunspot, Warpath, Iceman, Colossus, Blink, Bishop, and Kitty Pryde. Pretty
There
sure
we
that's
go.
that's
Oh
the first.
man, look at that with the memory here. Kudos to you.
What's going on today, man? I don't know. Between
That's
my memory and your deep cuts, man, we got something going.
I know it. I know. We're brewing. We're
We
brewing
should make a
something.
show. We should make a show. That's what we should do.
That's some may say we should. I like
Uh,
that.
um,
Okay, so let's run through. So we have Avengers Endgame at 1, Infinity War 2, Inception 3, Civil War 4, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows 5, X-Men Days of Future Past 6, Jurassic World 7, and then Mad Max 8.
yeah, and I really do enjoy Mad Max. I think it's really cool if you like that kind of gritty stuff. Like it's very well done, but definitively like 8, 7, 8 on this list.
And there's probably some more. Feel free to hit us up at CMM_podcast on
Sure.
Twitter for anything that we left out, because we definitely left out a whole bunch, and that was mostly due to laziness. So,
Well, someone worked hard at least
because in fairness, we shouldn't have the same amount of movies in the 2010s as we do the 2020s.
Yes, that is actually very true. A little recency bias there, but regardless,
But there's a lot of big money movies out here that came out in the last couple of years, partly because they were the only movie out at the time, and other parts because just inflation, and that's life, right?
This is an interesting grouping, the 2020s too, because like I like these movies, but there are just some that like are head and shoulders above others. It's an odd group. But
it is an odd group here. So I'm going to go with number 1, Top Gun Maverick.
Crazy, but I'm not on this. I'm not going to fight you. Like I absolutely loved Top Gun Maverick, and this is I am someone who went into it thinking I'm not going to like this. I'm watching this for the show. We do this from time to time. Where like one of us isn't as keen on certain things. It's whatever. But I really, really liked Top Gun Maverick. I was blown away.
It was a great movie. And again, I think with all the press around it, kind of with the idea of saving movie theaters and that sort of thing, Tom Cruise and the director giving you a special message, just like they did in the Mission Impossible movie. I liked it for Top Gun, didn't like it for Mission Impossible. But for what that movie kind of represented, again, a perfect callback to its original. It did a lot of things right. There are 2 other options that I would consider for number 1 that I could be swayed into, but this was my first thought.
Okay, there's there's only one grouping in here that I have not seen. It's the Fast and Furious movies, which you have seen or have not seen.
I have not. I haven't seen the Fast and Furious series or Barbie for that matter. But again, Barbie is such a cultural event that I think I can.
It's kind of wild how impactful that's had. But so, how do you feel about either putting Fast and Furious at the bottom or just pulling him altogether?
I would we'll put it at the bottom.
Okay, because I haven't seen it, but I also have no desire to see this one either.
But people love it though. I mean, it really is like the white trash version of Mission Impossible. They're all the rejects of Mission Impossible. They just get things done. They're not qualified to do anything, but
that's one way to put it. I've never really been a big fan of it. Now, looking at this list, again, this is tough because like there's some that I like more, but like I'm gonna put Tenet at 8. That's what the one I wanted to talk about. We like this movie.
We helped keep movie theaters alive when we saw this in theaters. That's correct.
We did. You're welcome, everybody.
Yeah.
But I liked it, but like it's such a mind fuck of a movie. It's hard. Like it's interesting to watch, but it's a tough one.
Yeah. Again, I think if you go back, we definitely did a review on this. If you want to go back in the archives there, but I think at the time we were like, yes, I understood everything what was going on. But if anyone, like if I went to go see that with my wife and she's like, what happened in that? I couldn't explain it to her.
Yeah. That's Lauren and I watched it here at one point, like this year. And I told her like, you have to like, if we're going to watch this, if you want to watch this, you have to be locked in. Like,
yeah.
Know that. And if like you want to look at your phone, we need to pause the movie because you're going to get lost. And that's not a disrespect to anybody. It's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and maybe Christopher Nolan was a little too reliant upon the audience's attention throughout this here. Maybe almost to a fault. But it's a good movie. Certainly not one of his best. I wouldn't say it's even in like the top 3 or 4. So I'm okay with Tenet being on the back end here.
Okay, now this is. I feel like Top Gun Maverick is comfortable number one, and you said you had two others that could go at number one. I'm curious what those end up being. But like, go ahead. What do you got?
I'm gonna go Across the Universe, or Across the Spider-Verse, I should say, at number 2.
Okay.
But again, I could be swayed. There's 3 here, but I've only seen 2 of these 3, so that's kind of where I'm at right here. So Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, groundbreaking, kicks the summer off in a lot of ways. The animation behind it, we only have a couple of animated movies, although I think in the 90s we could have had The Lion King. I think that was another big summer blockbuster. But at any rate, very, very good movie, building upon the first one, which is also very good in its own right. I mean, go back and listen to it. This is more recent of our archives if you want to listen to the Across the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse reviews. Those are both pretty recent.
Yeah, and this one, I mean, made a lot more money than the other one. I don't know the exact numbers. I was just trying to find them quick, but I couldn't. But yeah, the animation on this is next level. So in my heart, like, this is probably my favorite movie on this list, but I have no problem putting Top Gun ahead of it. So I'm assuming your other number one is Barbie.
Yeah.
And that's
again, just for its impact and everything. Like I said, I've never seen people come out in droves for a movie like that in a long time.
Yeah, I think any one of these 3 you could put at number 1, and I'm not going to argue with you on it at all. With Barbie too, one thing that Lauren showed me recently was like there was like an article where I guess research had been done on polling people, talking to people who are seeing Barbie, and there were like a lot, there was like of the people polled, there was like it was like 22%. It was the first movie they'd seen since 2020. So like Barbie's getting people back to the theaters. Yes, where you and I were braving the theaters back in 2020 to go see Tenet. Now Barbie's getting all the people who wouldn't even remotely thought of that back in 2020. She's getting them back into theaters.
Interesting. Power of Barbie.
Interesting.
Stinky.
But yeah, that was in reference to my fart, not to that little tidbit that you shared. Very interesting tidbit.
Interesting. Okay, so you put Barbie at number 3.
I could be moved there, wherever you want. I think you saw that movie, but I think that it's in the top 3. I think that's the clear top 3.
Yeah, there's no question. I'm fine with. I think somebody else I know may not be okay with me giving it the okay at number 3, but I really like those other 2 movies a lot. And Spider-Verse for me. I mean, I fucking love Spider-Verse, man. So I'm comfortable putting it at 3.
At number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy, because now we have 3 Marvel movies here. With Black Widow, with Multiverse of Madness, and with Guardians Volume 3.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with putting Guardians Volume 3 here. The only other one that we don't know well is Oppenheimer.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't put Oppenheimer. I didn't have the title on here for it.
Oh, you don't have it in the
yeah.
Oh, so no, we'll call it Barbenheimer. So
there we go. Yeah, it would probably be ahead of Guardians 3 anyway, right? Again, the impact that it's had.
Yeah, it's in going like for as much as like I love Barbie and what it did in the movie and everything that it's done. Like for Oppenheimer to go up against Barbie at the same time and then do as well as it did monetarily. Obviously, it's not in the same ballpark, but it shouldn't be in the same ballpark. For it to do as well as it did says a lot. And then on top of it, it's just like everything around it seems really cool. I can't wait to see it. But Guardians at 4 is definitely the best of the bunch that we have left here.
How do you feel about Black Widow dipping down behind Tenet?
I could get behind that. I like Black Widow more than most.
There's some redeeming qualities to it, but again, the Taskmaster thing really bothered me. Yeah, and then it leads to plot hole questions, which is becoming a bit of the norm in the MCU here. It's like how long did Dreykov have this floating city in the sky going on here? But I'm more quickly to go back and rewatch Tenet, as much of a brain twister as that is, than Black Widow.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Tenet, and if we're going to give it credit for, Tenet was only, I think you could only watch it in theaters, right? Or was that one of a release on demand, pay-per-view release, kind of like Black Widow was? Because I think Black Widow was day and date, like the same time, but I don't know if Tenet was staggered or at the same time like that.
I don't know what Tenet was, but you're right about Black Widow. I don't know, because Tenet might have been like in theaters for a little bit and then still in theaters, but you could pay for it at home or something to that degree.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what else. You know what we don't have on here is Wonder Woman 84 too. I don't know how we
Oh, yeah. Was that in theaters though? I think, or was that just the Christmas Day HBO Max release? Wasn't that?
I think it was. Yeah,
I think it was to kick off HBO Max.
It wasn't great. Anyways, so that leaves Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness at number 5. I love Doctor Strange, like Multiverse of Madness. I love what they do with Scarlet Witch in there. She is she is either the or one of the most powerful MCU characters that there is. And I love how OP they made her. I love the horror elements.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are some things that Raimi does that I don't love. Like, it's really just the one thing where, like, it's when Strange and America Chavez get drugged. Like, the way they shoot that is just a little odd to me. Other than that, I like everything. I really like everything. So we give this like a high B, low A grade.
Yeah, I gave this a better score retroactively. At first, I was a little disappointed with it, but it's actually grown on me more so to the fact that it's one of my favorite, one of my better MCU Phase 4 movies. So it's probably not tier 1, but maybe mid tier 2 for me.
Yeah,
for that. So I think right here, definitely behind Guardians 3. But I think that was an instance of Multiverse of Madness where like the hype train got too far away.
In looking at these groupings that we have here, like 2020s has a definitive line, I think. Like, I think between Guardians and Doctor Strange, there's a pretty definitive line.
Yeah.
As I think from the 2010s, I know you love Captain America: Civil War, but I still think those top 3 are in a category of their own.
Yeah, I could say that. I might put Civil War and Harry Potter. I think for that being the finale and what Civil War meant. Those are high up in tier 2, right on that borderline. But yeah,
that'd be their own tier, and then X-Men: Days of Future Past and Down is another tier. And then, but of all of them,
these are tiers within tiers within tiers.
Yes, and
tiers for fears.
I'll end it on this one for me at least. With the aughts though, this is like, I mean, this is just all. I mean, maybe it goes all the way down to Superbad, like which we didn't resolve the Superman Iron Man thing, but like I guess all the way down to number 6.
Yeah. And again, there could be more. There could be a case for Wedding Crashers. There could be a case for a couple of other things on here too, right? So,
yep, great decade. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, good stuff there for sure. And again, whatever we left out, please let us know. But this is the, I'll say it, quote unquote, definitive summer blockbuster tier within tier list.
Yes.
How's that sound?